In the shifting sands of the Gobi Desert, a single claw glints beneath the sun. What kind of creature left behind only slender bones and quill impressions, but reigned as a ruthless predator of its time? In life, this animal measured no more than 2 meters from snout to tail, yet it possessed a mind, honed by instinct and anatomy, designed for deadly precision. It was not a giant, it was a shadow. It was the swiftest of hunters. It was Velociraptor, Velociraptor mongoliensis, prowled the arid plains and dune fields of late Cretaceous Asia, stalking small mammals and juvenile dinosaurs with unmatched cunning. Its name means swift thief, yet this title only hints at its true nature. Beneath a coat of feathers lay a heart beating in rhythm with the desert winds. Behind amber eyes glowed calculation. Tonight we will peel back layers of sediment and time to reveal the life of this feathered predator. We will trace the moment when its bones first emerged from stone. We will reconstruct its form from hollow bones and hooked claws. We will imagine the sound of its slashing toe and the whisper of feathers against rock. We will enter its world at dawn when it left its nest. We will outrun fear as it propelled itself with powerful legs across shifting sands. We will watch it outwit prey with sudden lunges and silent approaches. In this journey, we will remain with Velociraptor alone. We will not wander into the realms of giants. We will not drift into the legends of T-Rex. Our focus will be the swift thief, the feathered hunter, the cunning mind concealed in a creature the size of a modern dog. We will measure its skull and curve its claws. We will examine the evidence of quill knobs etched into bone. We will listen to the debates that shaped its story and the breakthroughs that transformed it from cinematic monster into living, breathing animal. We will witness a creature driven by relentless hunger and unmatched agility. We will trace the path of its discovery from the flaming cliffs of Mongolia to the laboratories that examined its fossils. We will uncover the controversies that arose when paleontologists first found feathers where they expected scales. We will stand before museum mounts and see new interpretations take shape with every scan and every excavation. In the end, we will ask not how such a small predator survived, but how it prospered. We will ask how a species that weighed as little as 10 kilograms could dominate its world through intelligence and design. We will ask how modern science continues to uncover secrets locked in stone for 75 million years. We will close our eyes and imagine a flock of feathered thieves stalking the deserts under the Cretaceous sun. Here we will rediscover its heartbeat in stone and its shadow in sand. We will confront the mystery of its extinction and the echoes it left in the fossil record. We will enter the mind of a hunter as deadly as it was smart. And we will emerge with a deeper respect for a creature that rewrote our understanding of dinosaurs. Let's go back. 75 million years ago, beneath the scorching sun of the Gobi Desert, a field party led by Roy Chapman Andrews hacked at red sandstone in the summer of 1923. The landscape was a vast canvas of windswept dunes and jagged cliffs known locally as Bainzac or Flaming Cliffs. Fossil hunters had long suspected these eroding slopes might yield dinosaur remains, but none could have predicted the slender skull and curious claw soon to emerge from the sediment. In August of that year, geologist and paleontologist Peter Kaizen pried free a fragmented skull plate and a recurved toe claw, twice the size of a man's hand, but far too delicate for a giant predator. The bone surfaces were weathered yet unmistakably dromaeosaurid, light, hollow, and etched with muscle attachment scars. This quiet dig, set against endless horizons of baked earth, marked the first unambiguous appearance of Velociraptor. When the specimens reached the American Museum of Natural History in New York, Henry Fairfield Osborn examined them with growing excitement. In 1924, he announced the new genus and species, Velociraptor mongoliensis, swift thief of Mongolia. Osborn's description emphasized the creature's agility and its sickle-shaped second toe claw, but he could only speculate about feathers and behavior. For at that time, dinosaurs were still thought to be scaly giants. Political tensions soon cloaked further work in secrecy. During the mid-20th century, Western scientists found themselves locked out of Mongolian expeditions by Cold War rivalries. It fell to Soviet and Polish teams, in partnership with Mongolian researchers, to continue excavations. The most dramatic moment arrived in 1971 when they uncovered the fighting dinosaurs specimen, a Velociraptor and a Protoceratops entombed mid-combat. This single block of sandstone captured an eternal struggle and brought international fame to the desert's hidden treasures. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, scientific collaboration thawed. Joint Chinese-Canadian expeditions explored the Bayan Mandahu Formation in Inner Mongolia, recovering several new skeletons with remarkably preserved forearms. These fossils revealed quill knobs, bony bumps along the ulna that anchor feathers, finally proving that Velociraptor bore plumage. The discovery transformed paleontology, overturning the long-held view of dinosaurs as purely scaly reptiles. Today, paleontologists count more than a dozen partial to nearly complete Velociraptor skeletons, alongside countless isolated bones and teeth. Key specimens are curated at the Institute of Paleontology and Geology in Ulaanbaatar, the American Museum of Natural History, the Beijing Museum of Natural History, and the Royal Tyrrell Museum in Canada. Each new find, whether a single vertebra or an articulated skeleton, adds precision to our understanding of this cunning predator. Debates over species diversity have followed every excavation. In 2008, the species Velociraptor osmolskae was described from the Nemegt Formation, igniting discussion over whether it represents a true separate lineage or simply geographic variation of V. mongoliensis. These arguments mirror historic rivalries, reminding us that classification hinges on fragmentary clues and evolving methodologies. Advances in imaging and field techniques continue to reshape the discovery narrative. Portable X-ray fluorescence scanners let researchers analyze fossil chemistry on site, while drone surveys map erosion patterns to pinpoint new dig sites. In laboratories, 3D laser scanning transforms fragile bones into digital models that paleontologists can study without risking the originals, from the moment a weathered claw first gleamed in Kaizen's brush to the high-resolution CT scans of the 21st century. The story of Velociraptor's discovery reads like an epic saga. It spans daring desert expeditions, geopolitical barriers, and revolutionary scientific breakthroughs. Each chapter underscores our relentless curiosity and the promise that buried within ancient rock, more secrets of the swift thief still await revelation. Velociraptor measured between 1.5 and 2.07 meters from snout to tail, standing roughly half a meter tall at the hips. In length, it matched a large sedan, yet its frame was lean and lightweight. Paleontologists estimate its mass between 14 and 20 kilograms, comparable to a medium-sized dog. Its hollow bones, reinforced by struts and air sacs, combined lightness with strength, creating a body built for sudden bursts of speed and agile maneuvers rather than brute force or endurance. The skull of Velociraptor reached up to 25 centimeters in length and was narrow, elongated, and delicately constructed around large eye sockets. Inside that skull sat 26 to 28 serrated teeth per jaw, each blade recurved and spaced for gripping slippery or struggling prey. The upper jaw swept upward at the snout, forming a shallow U shape that provided space for precise tooth placement. Fossil wear patterns on the teeth revealed that it sliced through flesh with a shearing motion, leaving microscopic striations similar to those on modern carnivore teeth. Most famous of all was the enlarged second pedal digit, tipped with a sickle-shaped claw over 6.5 centimeters long. This claw remained lifted clear of the ground when walking to preserve its razor-sharp edge. Rather than slashing wide wounds, Biomechanical models suggest it functioned like a grappling hook, embedding into the abdomen or flank of prey and anchoring the victim until lethal bites followed. The claw's curvature and cross-section confirm an adaptation for puncturing and holding, not for weight-bearing. Forelimbs extended nearly half a meter, ending in 3 grasping digits each, tipped with curved claws. In 2007, the discovery of quill knobs along the ulna provided definitive proof of pennaceous feathers. These robust feather attachments indicate forelimbs bore plumage similar to modern flightless birds. While not suited for powered flight, the feathers may have aided in balance during high-speed turns, acted as visual displays in social interactions, and provided insulation or nest lining during brooding. Feather distribution likely varied across the body. Head and neck regions probably retained scales or simple filaments, while the back, arms, and tail sported complex feathers. Some paleontologists debate whether elongated shoulder feathers created proto-wings, capable of limited gliding during leaps between rocks or low branches. Fossil impressions of related dromaeosaurids show flight feathers extending beyond the wrists, supporting a hypothesis that Velociraptor used its plumage in aerial displays or controlled descents. The tail of Velociraptor was stiffened by ossified tendons, forming a spring-like counterbalance during rapid pursuits. Its spine and pelvis hosted broad attachment sites for powerful thigh and calf muscles, enabling sprint speeds estimated between 24 and 40 kilometers per hour. This combination of muscular hindlimbs and rigid tail created a living rudder, facilitating sharp turns when chasing swift prey across dune fields or rocky outcrops. Respiratory adaptations mirrored those of modern birds. Air sacs penetrated the vertebrae and ribs, reducing body weight and creating a unidirectional airflow system. Each breath moved fresh air through hollow cavities, sustaining high metabolic rates and efficient oxygen exchange during sustained bursts of activity. This advanced lung-air sac system prevented overheating and supported the energy demands of a warm-blooded predator on the run. Inside that lightweight frame lay a disproportionately large brain for its size. Endocasts of cranial cavities reveal expanded optical lobes and enhanced cerebellar regions responsible for coordination and balance. Forward-facing eyes granted Velociraptor binocular vision with depth perception rivaling that of modern birds of prey, while well-developed olfactory bulbs indicate a keen sense of smell, useful for tracking prey or locating carrion. Skin impressions from related species show a mosaic of scales on the lower legs and belly, contrasting with feathered regions above. Debate continues over whether scaly patches persisted along the snout, or if simple down-like filaments covered the entire head. Analysis of melanosomes in fossilized feathers from close relatives has begun to suggest color patterns, perhaps rusty browns, muted grays, or iridescent highlights that played roles in camouflage and communication. Size variation among specimens remains a topic of discussion. Some fossils suggest slightly larger individuals or geographic variants, prompting questions about potential subspecies. Debate also surrounds the presence of cranial crests or soft tissue structures used for display, but no direct fossil evidence has yet confirmed such ornamentation. What is certain, however, is that every element of Velociraptor's anatomy, from hollow bones to hooked claws and feathered arms, reflects evolutionary refinement for a hunter that combined speed, stealth, and sensory precision in a compact, deadly package. As dawn's pale light crests the rolling dunes of the late Cretaceous Gobi, Velociraptor slips silently from its burrowed den beneath wind-eroded cliffs. The air is crisp, but quickly warms under a rising sun. Sparse scrub and thorny bushes cling to cracks in sandstone, offering both cover and vantage points. In this harsh, semi-arid realm, water fills isolated depressions after seasonal rains, drawing creatures large and small, and with them, the swift feathered hunters. With low-slung bodies and narrow snouts, these predators used stealth over brute force. Emerging at first light, they crouched behind silty mounds, eyes fixed on movements in the sand. Small mammals scurried between shrubs, lizards basked on sun-warmed rocks, and juvenile dinosaurs grazed on tender shoots. Each potential meal was stalked with calculated patience, limbs held rigid until the moment of explosive. Pursuit trackway fossils reveal that Velociraptor could travel in small bands, perhaps siblings or parent-offspring groups, moving in parallel lines toward watering holes. While direct evidence of cooperative hunting remains contested, clusters of footprints suggest coordinated travel. Bone beds with multiple individuals hint at social interactions beyond fleeting encounters. Occasional healed bite marks on conspecific bones imply ritualized sparring or dominance challenges among group members. When prey ventured too close, a velociraptor sprang forward with blinding speed. Powerful hindlimbs launched it over 2 meters in a single bound. Sickle-curved claws held aloft until they met flesh. One hooked claw could anchor into a flank, pinning the victim, while jaws, armed with recurved, serrated teeth, delivered crippling bites. This ambush strategy minimized energy expenditure and risk, ensuring the predator rarely faced prolonged struggles with dangerous prey. By mid-morning, the desert heat intensified. Velociraptor sought refuge in shaded alcoves beneath overhanging rocks or in shallow burrows scavenged from earlier eras. Here, it preened feathers with hooked beak tips, inspected scars from bone-bed battles, and rested musculature behind feathered arms. Feathery filaments on forelimbs served dampened signals in low light, and occasional soft chirps or hisses communicated status or alarm to nearby companions. Interest-specific behavior likely included visual displays and tactile interactions. Flared feathers along the tail ridge and arched neck postures could signal readiness to mate or assert territory. Healed gouges on ulnae and tail shafts record encounters where rivals tested strength without fatal intent. Subtle vocalizations, chirps, clicks, and low trills may have carried through still air, guiding siblings toward a communal hunt or warning of overhead predators. Reproductive activity probably centered around sheltered ground depressions scraped into firm clay. While no velociraptor nests have been found, Maniraptor and relatives laid elongated eggs in clutch groups and protected them until hatching. It is plausible that adults shaded eggs with outstretched feather fans and fiercely defended nests against opportunistic scavengers, using claws and beaks to deter intrusion. Hatchlings, covered in down-like filaments, measured only a few dozen centimeters long. Rapid growth rings in juvenile bones suggest they reached adult size within 2 to 3 years. Young velociraptor may have formed nursery groups, staying within the safety of adult territories and learning hunting techniques through youthful sparring sessions. These juvenile cohorts honed coordination and claw accuracy under the watchful eyes of larger kin. Daily life was punctuated by environmental hazards. Sudden sandstorms could bury individuals alive or force them to seek high ground. Seasonal droughts depleted water holes, scattering prey and driving predators into fierce competition. Yet Velociraptor thrived by exploiting marginal niches, scavenging carcasses left by larger carnivores and hunting the floodplain's smaller residents. Ecologically, Velociraptor served as both predator and opportunist. By culling weak or injured animals, it maintained prey population health while providing carrion for scavengers. Its use of varied microhabitats, from rocky outcrops to sandy flats, demonstrates behavioral flexibility. Fossil pollen in digestive tract sediments shows a reliance on prey from open shrublands rather than dense forests, underscoring its adaptation to semi-desert ecosystems. As dusk draped the desert in twilight hues, Velociraptor retreated to sheltered niches, alert for nocturnal threats. In fading light, soft chirps and gentle rustles of feathers signaled a day's end. Night brought cooler temperatures and a different menu. Small mammals emerging from burrows, testing the agility and senses of this relentless hunter until dawn's first glow beckoned another cycle of stealth. speed and survival. As the Cretaceous sun rose on the morning of the end, Velociraptor moved across desert sands much as it had for millions of years. Then the world shifted. A massive asteroid, 10 to 15 kilometers wide, slammed into what is now the Yucatan Peninsula. The impact blasted trillions of tons of rock into the atmosphere, triggering shockwaves that circled the globe and ignited wildfires across continents. Within hours, a fiery rain swept forests and plains alike. Temperatures skyrocketed near the impact site, then plummeted as dust and soot choked sunlight. Photosynthesis stalled, collapsing plant communities at the base of every food chain. Herbivores starved, and with them the carnivores that depended on them. Velociraptor's small size and dietary flexibility offered little protection once its prey vanished. Fossil beds in Mongolia's Jadokta and Bayan-Mendahu formations record the abrupt disappearance of Velociraptor remains at the KPG boundary. A thin layer rich in iridium, an element rare on Earth but common in asteroids, marks the last traces of dinosaur fossils before a clean break. In the layers above, no Velociraptor bone has been found. The abrupt cutoff suggests extinction came within a geological heartbeat. Some scientists argue that massive volcanic eruptions in India's Deccan Traps compounded the crisis. For hundreds of thousands of years before the impact, lava flows poured out sulfur and carbon dioxide, triggering acid rain and longer-term climate warming. These stresses may have weakened ecosystems, leaving Velociraptor populations vulnerable to the final blow of the asteroid winter. Whether extinction was sudden or drawn out over centuries remains debated. The iridium spike points to a swift catastrophe, but evidence of declining dinosaur diversity before the boundary hints at a more protracted decline. Velociraptor fossils become rarer in the million years leading up to the event, suggesting their numbers had already fallen. In either scenario, the end came with finality. No lineage survived. In those last days, dwindling waterholes drew survivors into desperate competition. Bone beds show clusters of Velociraptor remains alongside other small dinosaurs, as if packs perished together when resources ran dry. Scavenged carcasses yielded brief nourishment, but disease and starvation spread rapidly among weakened groups. The emergency triggered by the asteroid unleashed a chain reaction. Marine plankton died off, causing extinctions in the seas. On land, fungi and bacteria thrived in dead organic matter, as evidenced by fungal spike layers found at extinction sites. The loss of vegetation led to soil erosion and the collapse of insect populations. Velociraptor, finely tuned to hunt in stable environments of sunlit oases and sparse shrubs, could not adapt to the collapse of entire ecosystems. No retreat remained for a predator whose survival depended on agile pursuit and keen senses. Its combustion of energy through flight-like breathing and high metabolism, once an advantage, hastened its demise when oxygen levels plummeted and temperatures sank. Hollow bones offered no refuge when the air itself turned hostile. Yet extinction is not merely disappearance. The demise of Velociraptor opened niches for early mammals, who emerged from nocturnal shadows to exploit new opportunities. Ferns and hardy plants colonized devastated landscapes, setting the stage for evolving forests. In that cycle of loss and renewal, the fall of Velociraptor became a turning point in Earth's story. Today, the silence that followed the KPG boundary echoes through the fossil record. The absence of Velociraptor bones beyond that iridium line serves as a stark reminder of nature's vulnerability to rapid change. A creature that once thrived by outsmarting prey and mastering its world vanished in a geological instant, leaving behind only fragments of its legacy embedded in desert sandstone and museum halls around the globe. Imagine standing at the edge of a protected grassland as the ground trembles beneath a fleet-footed figure. A creature no larger than a kangaroo emerges from the underbrush, its feathers ruffling in the breeze and its amber eyes scanning for prey. This is Velociraptor reborn in our world. In expansive conservation areas, perhaps the remote deserts of Mongolia or the scrublands of Australia, Velociraptor could carve out a niche among modern fauna. Seasonal rains would green pockets of shrubs and small trees, drawing in rodents, ground-nesting birds, and juvenile marsupials. Velociraptor's keen senses and agile form would allow it to hunt with stealth, darting through low vegetation and ambushing unsuspecting prey. Wildlife corridors bristling with motion sensor cameras and infrared drones would track its movements. Biologists would map its ranges, studying how it adapts to temperature swings and human-altered landscapes. Researchers might collar individuals with lightweight transmitters to record hunting patterns and cluster sites for communal shelter. Zoos and sanctuaries would vie to display the living dinosaur, erecting secure enclosures that mimic dune fields and rocky outcrops. Visitors would watch as a feathered predator stalks a simulated watering hole, claws clicking on stone. Keepers would develop diets of farmed rabbits and lab-raised birds, balancing nutritional needs with the ethics of captive care. Veterinary teams would pioneer treatments for avian-like respiratory systems and study the regenerative capacity of its sickle claws. Public reaction would sway between awe and apprehension. Social media would flood with footage of a turkey-sized hunter slipping past suburban fences at dusk. Governments would draft protocols for safe coexistence, signage warning hikers, night vision patrols to monitor roaming individuals, and rapid response teams to deter close encounters. Ecologists would debate Velociraptor's impact on modern ecosystems. As a small predator, it might help control invasive rodent populations, benefiting ground foraging birds and small mammals. Yet it could also compete with native carnivores and threaten endangered species in fragmented habitats. Conservationists would weigh its reintroduction against potential imbalances. From a scientific standpoint, Velociraptor's presence would unlock unprecedented opportunities. Geneticists could compare living DNA sequences to preserved protein fragments extracted from exceptionally preserved fossils. Paleontologists would observe feather molting cycles, validating hypotheses drawn from quill knob spacing. Engineers might design agile robots modeled on its limb mechanics, enhancing search and rescue drones in disaster zones. Education programs would integrate the living dinosaur into classrooms worldwide. Students could watch live-streamed feeding sessions, analyze movement data in math classes, and sketch detailed feather patterns in art lessons. Interdisciplinary research would flourish, bridging paleobiology, genomics, and robotics in a single living laboratory. Yet ethical dilemmas would loom. Would Velociraptor be treated as a scientific marvel or as an exotic pet? Poaching risks, habitat loss, and disease transmission could mirror the threats modern predators face. International agreements would be required to protect its populations, prevent black market trade in feathers or claws, and manage veterinary health across borders. In cities, urban planners might design new green belts with escape-proof fencing to shield both humans and predator. Nighttime lighting could be adapted to minimize disruption to its hunting behavior. Citizens would learn to respect a creature that blends into shadows and strikes with surgical precision. Ultimately, the success of Velociraptor in our age would depend on humanity's willingness to coexist with a predator born of feather and bone. Would we embrace its presence as a bridge to deep time and a lesson in ecological complexity? Or would fear consign it to captivity, repeating patterns of loss that befell so many species before? In a world not built for feathered hunters, would it still stalk our dawns and dusks?